I want to remind everyone, I spun a wheel of names to decide the order I went in when covering Jarilo 6 characters. It's a big coincidence that we happen to end up with Bronya as the final character of this lineup, but I ain't complaining. She's the perfect character to cap off this set of videos. Bronya is the central character to both of the Jarilo 6 storylines we've gotten so far. In the initial storyline, the Nameless Trio help her through her arc of disillusion in her mother's reign. And in the continuance quest, she's faced with a dilemma about how to deal with the planet's debt. We see the seeds for her development be planted in her introductory scene. She's questioning Cocolia's actions, only to be shot down as soon as we arrive. Once her mother tells her to leave, she relents and excuses herself. Bronya's role is accentuated by how many characters play off her characterization. I mentioned in Seele's video how she and Bronya are foils to each other, but there are other characters involved in both belobog plots whose own stories and involvement help to highlight certain aspects of Bronya. For example, you can see her bond with Cocolia paralleled in Clara and Svarog. Both girls are underworld orphans who were adopted by a single parent and raised in a sheltered environment. Cocolia and Svarog promote the separation of the over and underworlds on their respective sides, abandoning the other to die off. They do this in misguided attempts to achieve what they believed was their mission. For Svarog, he was tasked with solely preserving the underworld. Meanwhile, Cocolia sought to throw away her principles of preservation to create a whole new world over the ruins of Belobog. However, while Clara is able to convince Svarog to lift the birdcage he had kept the Underworlders in and cooperate with Wildfire, Bronya's attempts to reach a mutual understanding with Cocolia end in total failure. The juxtaposition, with Clara successfully reaching her parent, is what makes this conflict between Bronya and Cocolia all the more tragic to watch. The game makes it clear that Cocolia is the most important bond Bronya has had for a majority of her life. Their mother-daughter connection goes beyond HSR, as Cocolia has consistently been a mother figure for Bronya in their many iterations. In HI3, she founded the orphanage where Bronya and Seele, among other kids, grew up. In HSR, however, Cocolia adopted Bronya alone from the Underworld orphanage, and thus she and Seele never met until much later in their lives. The dynamic between Bronya and Cocolia is the strongest showcase of Belobog's prevalent theme of preservation. Preservation doesn't purely involve protecting anything in the physical world. It can also apply to prolonging the existence of metaphysical concepts like people's ideals. They use the conflicting elements of fire and ice to convey such a message. You would think that ice would be the perfect element to represent preservation, since it freezes things in place. But that's exactly why it's the opposing element to preservation on Jarilo 6, as stagnation is exactly what led to Belobog society being on the brink of ruin. While ice represents the planet's chilling death, fire represents the embers of life wanting to overcome the eternal freeze. Cocolia believes that Belobog as it is now must be destroyed to bring about something better and new. She summons Elisa Rand's lance, but has it frozen over. After the Trailblazer gets shish kebabbed, they talk to the combined will of every Supreme Guardian before Cocolia. They initially are ready to give up, figuring they can't stop their home from withering away. But the Trailblazer has this dialogue option: then let others carry on the will of preservation. That resolve to truly carry on, to preserve, the Supreme Guardian's wishes is what catches Clopol's gaze and sets the lands ablaze. But Shiro, what does all this have to do with Bronya? I'm getting to that right now. I would argue the song Wildfire is sung from Bronya's perspective. The lyrics are her speaking and fighting on behalf of the unanimous wish of every person on Jarilo 6, whether they be from above or below the surface. This song and this battle was her first time truly taking on the role of Supreme Guardian. Taking the royal we into account, the song makes sense from this viewpoint. We have something to declare. We'll be prepared. We've made a choice. Bronya's name even works with this theme of preservation. The name Bronya means armor in Russian. A different spelling of the name with an I instead of a Y is a diminutive of the Polish name Bronisława, meaning glorious protection. But of course, when talking about her name, we need to talk about where she got it from. Bronya Rand is a variant of one of the most recurring characters throughout the Honkai franchise. In Honkai Impact 3rd, Bronya Zachick is one of the three main leads of its story's first part. These two Bronyas are very different in a lot of ways. HI3 Bronya is very deadpan, almost robotic in her lack of emotion, and acts much older than she appears due to the trauma she faced. HSR Bronya, by contrast, is much more emotionally expressive, and her naivety of the conflict between the two sides of jarilo-6 is a flaw that she grows out of during the first questline. One thing both versions of Bronya have in common is how dedicated they are to the people they care about, to the point they are willing to risk life and limb to help them in some way. In HI3, Seele got trapped in the Sea of Quanta, and Bronya spent multiple years looking for a way to get her back. And when she did, she willingly sacrificed herself to ensure that Seele got out and returned to the real world. In HSR, Bronya's sense of responsibility is heightened than any other version of her, as now she cares about everyone on her planet. We see what the role of Supreme Guardian means to Bronya when she gives up a precious metal to a kid named Eric as an exchange, asking him to promise her to never steal again. When Seele asks why Bronya did such a thing, Bronya says something that proves how she's fit to be a leader.
From a young age, my mother taught me to be forgiving and to preserve the goodwill in people's hearts. Even if I am but a small glimmer of light in this world, I must try my best to shine brightly for others. I must give him a chance, Seele, because other people can't.
We also see this trait of hers present in her third character story. A private in the Silvermane Guard sacrificed himself to protect Bronya. While attending his funeral, Bronya expresses her grief to Gepard, wishing she could have swapped places with him. Gepard's response is that learning to bear these heavy burdens is the only way to become a true leader. Bronya wants to preserve the livelihood and wishes of her people. We see this desire of hers come to a head when confronted with the planet's massive debt to the IPC. She at one point considers signing the contract so the corporation wouldn't use strong measures against her people, but thanks to the Nameless's help, she realizes that preserving her people's freedom is more important than anything else. Topaz is another parallel to Bronya, going through a similar arc of disillusionment. Bronya helps Topaz realize that just like Cocolia, the IPC isn't this flawless system following the path of preservation. With that knowledge, Topaz chooses to revolt against the system to do what she believes is the right thing. But there's a more poignant aspect to Bronya's character that ties into concepts of preservation. Even after everything that went down in the first belobog questline, she wants to preserve the positive opinion and memories of her mother. For the entire first half of the belobog storyline, Bronya goes from a commander who has near absolute faith in her mother to a girl whose image of her parent is shattered when she's exposed to the despairing ramifications of Cocolia's catastrophic decisions. However, even after all that, she couldn't give up on her mom. When Bronya goes back to the overworld to talk to Cocolia, Seele hands us a letter she left behind. Madame Cocolia raised me up, and I will never be able to repay her kindness. She taught me countless life lessons and virtues, as well as how to defend Belobog and its people. Even though she has lately made decisions that puzzled me, I can't let go of all the precious memories I have with her. Even if Bronya was sheltered and had all her decisions made for her by others, she still loves her mother and thinks back on their time together fondly. Despite Cocolia's faults and the Stellaron's influence, she loved Bronya, regardless of the fact they weren't blood related. It means a lot that when Cocolia questioned the Stellaron for the first time in a long time, it was when Bronya was taken to the underworld. Cocolia may have given in to the Stellaron and been driven mad, and definitely wasn't the perfect mother, but you'd be lying if you said she didn't love Bronya. Besides, she's a lot better than other fictional moms, I'll say that much. That's why Bronya chose to lie to the people of Belobog to give them hope and allow them to continue trusting the role of Supreme Guardian. She has her people believe Cocolia sacrificed herself to destroy the Stellaron. It's a lie stemming from Bronya wanting to preserve her belief in her mother, that she was a good woman who was tempted down the wrong path, and a mother deserving of love from her daughter. Bronya is a kind soul who wishes to preserve the fire of her planet's people and their desire, to keep it burning as bright as ever. Through her choice to stand up for them against her mother, She proved she had what it takes to lead her people and unite them under one banner. The perfect encapsulation of preservation and harmony. This first chapter of HSR was as good as it was because they nailed the most important element. Bronya is the thread that connects all of Belobog's narrative and symbolic storytelling into a cohesive whole greater than the sum of its parts. Thank you for watching this video. This is one part of a series of analysis videos on Honkai Star Rail's cast of characters. It's totally free, you can unsub at any time, and it will make me smile. As a smaller content creator on the platform, engaging with my videos truly helps. If you feel so generous as to support me financially, I have a Ko-fi you can donate to, and if you want some short novels to read, you can buy my book series Flamebringer Prince off Amazon. Links to them in the description. Thank you once again for watching, have a great rest of your day, and until we meet again, take care.